So my name is Jimmy Lynett. I'm the cruise director on board the Disney Dream.
How have you seen the role of technology evolve over the time that you've been at sea?
Well, at Disney, we evolve with technology. You know, when the ships first came out, it was 1998. It is now 2015, and I'm telling you, technology has changed immensely, and we are right there in the game with all the technology we have on board.
Speaking of game, Disney Infinity, a very popular video game out there. How are you guys integrating that into the experience?
Well, we know Disney Infinity is incredibly popular. So what we did in our Oceaneer Club, one of our children's spaces, we created an entire room dedicated to Disney Infinity, where you become virtually in the game. Not only do we have every single game piece that you can play, but you can actually become a game piece yourself in the game.
Now, you guys also have a video game of sorts when it comes to the Enchanted Art. Can you talk about that experience as well as what's new?
Well, talk about technology. I mean, we have artwork that comes to life. It's called Enchanted Art. You'll see artwork all over the ship, and sometimes when you look at that artwork, it'll actually come to life. But that's not it. We also have what we call the Midship Detective Agency. This is where we have enchanted artwork that comes to life with a storyline, and you are a sleuth in which you have to actually solve the case. Involving the Muppets, that is the latest one we have.
Now, that puts you right inside of the game. Going back to Disney Infinity, you guys actually put kids into the game as well. Can you talk about that aspect of that new attraction?
When you walk into the Disney Infinity room, we have the base. And when the children get on that base, they actually are transformed into a character in the game, and by their movement, they will then navigate through the game.
Speaking of navigation, there's also the Millennium Falcon right next door. Talk about that experience and how technology brought that to life.
Let me just tell you, we are the only ship in the world with Star Wars on board. And it's the Millennium Falcon, and it's in the children's spaces. So it's in the Oceaneer Club, and yes, the children can get into the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon and drive her straight into hyperspace.
And right next to that Millennium Falcon, there's also original Star Wars video games. What role do video games play within those clubs?
Well, we have, I mean, again, technology is huge in our children's spaces, and we know that kids like playing games. So of course, we have a lot of technology in there. We have iPads in which they can literally play in the Star Wars area.
Now, Disney came out with a very popular movie a few years back, Wreck-It Ralph, all about the death of the arcade. You guys took out the arcade, but you actually put Wreck-It Ralph back in. What's the experience?
Wreck-It Ralph was incredibly popular, and if you remember when they went into the game, it was all about candy. It was all about the sweet tooth, and that is what we've created. We have created Vanellope's Sweetened Treats. This is where you can go as a family and enjoy homemade gelato, fresh ice cream. In fact, take the family challenge. That is 8 heaping scoops of ice cream with all the toppings.
These days, people come on board with smartphones and tablets. How does that impact how they can access information and how you guys tap into that?
Well, back when we began, we had the personal navigator, and we still have the personal navigator, which is a document delivered to your stateroom every night that outlines everything happening on board. But we know that people are tech savvy. So now we have the DCL app. Before you board the ship, download the DCL Navigator app, and this will be your porthole into everything happening on board the ship. In fact, we bring the navigator straight to your smartphone.
And the last question I've been asking everybody is, what video games do you like to play? So I know you have kids, so it could be playing with kids or just playing back in the day.
Well, back in the day, I was a Pac-Man freak. In fact, if you remember, there was Pac-Man Fever came out, the song. I used to tune that up as I was kind of cranking through the game. But that was one of my favorite games growing up. And I loved Q*bert, and I loved Dig Dug, and all of those games. But now with my son, it's all about Disney Infinity. We play Disney Infinity at home all the time. And yeah, we'll throw in a little bit of WWE. We also, of course, will play a little bit of Madden football as well.